While CD Projekt Red gave us a sample of what an action RPG in a cyberpunk setting would feel like, indie developer Neon Giant takes it to a whole nother level. I'm Blackipino Jay, and I'm going to give you my pros and cons on The Ascent, played on the Xbox Series X. Let's start with the obvious. This game is as detailed as it is stunning. Visually, in my opinion, this game is like The Fifth Element, Blade Runner, and the Cantina on Mos Eisley all wrapped into one. The complexity in the level design and the art direction helps create the immersion while you're playing this game. The city is packed with so much detail, it's hard to describe it in this one video alone. You have so many layers and levels going on, whether it's citizens going about their daily lives, or if there's vehicles in the background, or even drones and other vehicles flying in front of you on the screen. These elements help to bring this game to life. Another impressive detail were having action scenes added into the background. There's a moment while you're playing the first level where a robot just burst out of the wall and it looks like it's out of control, but you can do nothing but watch. There's another moment while you're walking down the street before reaching a combat area and a vehicle crashes into a bridge in the background and you see the citizens fleeing for their lives. This is the kind of action that will keep you compelled and wanting to know more of what's happening to this world. And like most modern RPGs, this game allows you to customize your character the way that you want. Now, customizing your base character is a bit simple. You can only change whether you're male or female. You cannot change your body type. You can change from a select clothing items, probably about 5. The skin tones vary depending on whether you're light or dark, and you can change your hairstyle for maybe 4 or 5 hairstyles, and you can choose from about 10 or so colors. And that alone does not take away from the gameplay experience, because this game is a dungeon crawler much like Hades or Diablo, so you're not going to be able to see your character up close. The real customization comes in the form of augments, modifications, weapons, and armor details. This is where you actually make your character your own. Now, there are some augments that are pretty OP, like the spider bots, where you can just spawn a set number of robotic spiders that attack your enemies. You can also get robot companions to fight along with you, whether they're doing defense or even if they're doing offense for you. And you even have a power beam, kind of like the Kamehameha wave that Goku does in Dragon Ball Z, or Ryu's Ultimate in the Street Fighter game. That's out, and that's pretty OP as well. But these kind of augments and changes helps make the game a lot fun to play. With the mods, there are a lot of stuff that I've played with, but my favorite mod right now is the Javelin Dash, where the animation when you'll do a dash instead of a combat roll, but you'll tear up the concrete and you kind of warp from point A to point B. These kinds of actions and gameplay mechanics is pretty fun to play with. As far as audio, the gunplay and explosions sound pretty good. The gun sound and feel like they're hitting, and when the explosions go off, you're gonna feel it. Like I mentioned before about the bridge falling or getting crashed into by a ship, that scene alone, I actually had to turn my speakers down because it was that loud. The audio quality on here is gonna sound like if you was watching a movie. It's pretty amazing. The voiceover work was pretty good for the main mission givers throughout this game. However, if you do side quests and you want to talk to a quest giver there on a side quest, they're given like the generic alien talk or speak. Your character has no speech at all. So even if you play in a multiplayer setting, it's going to look very similar to doing an online mission with friends on Grand Theft Auto Online, where everybody's kind of silent and they just nod their head silently or hand an item to the quest giver. Overall, it's still good. The only drawback that I would give on the characters that aren't your own is that they feel forgettable, other than Poon, who's the main quest mission giver in the game itself. And while this game is fun to play by yourself, the main draw, in my opinion, will be to play with friends. There is a couch co-op option, and there's also a online co-op option that is now available. At the time of this recording, a patch was released for the Ascent, which fixed most of the multiplayer issues that we were going through. I played this game at launch day, and multiplayer was almost non-existent at one point. If you played with 1 to 2 people, you were fine. If you played with 3 people, it got a little sketchy. But if you wanted 4 people in the squad, you can almost count that 4th man out, because they would either not be able to load in because the load time was crazy high, or they would just get kicked during the mission. Since the patch, the drop in and drop out feature seems to be working, but there are a few little minor bugs that actually kind of stops you from playing the game. Since playing the Ascent from the recent patch, the only glitches and bugs that I've noticed were becoming invisible, and not to my benefit. I would be invisible and I couldn't see myself at all. The only indication that I knew where I was at was when I did my javelin dash, and then my gamer tag will show. And then at that point I can kind of guess or estimate where I'm walking to. Without that, I was walking in the walls, walking into people, and it was not enjoyable at all. To fix that, I actually had to just close the entire game, reopen it, and then go from there. Another issue that we experienced, and we still experience, is players getting kicked out. It happens at random. It doesn't happen guaranteed with the 4th player anymore, which is very good. But when we'll play, it'll be at one point where any person would just be unable to move. On their end, they said that they were freezing, and then they just disappeared, and then they had to close the game out, reboot, and get back in. We've had freezing, and this is not a bug, but as far as game quality, we did notice some frame drops while playing. Not sure if that's related to the bug or if that was existing before the patch, but that's something that we did notice. And the last thing that I had was about the map and the menu navigation. It feels a little bit clumsy and clunky to navigate through. Normally, I'm used to navigating on a map with my left stick, and maybe use the right stick to either zoom or scroll. With this game, if you use the L stick, you are going to move over to the next tab. It happened to me all the time, to the point where I just tried not to use the map at all. With the menu options, the same thing applies with that left stick. Any movement left or right will move you to a new tab, whether you're in augments and you're just trying to get to a previous selection. If you hit left or right, you're going to the next tab. Overall, I would actually recommend anybody to play this game. This game is available on Xbox Game Pass, on PC. It's also available on Steam, I believe, as well. And even if you don't subscribe to Game Pass, the game only costs $30, so it's still worth the buy. If you're into couch co-op or even multiplayer co-op, I would actually recommend that you try this game out. It's that fun, especially with friends. And even if you just like single player games, this has enough action to keep you satisfied all the way to the end. Well, those are my thoughts. Please let me know what you think about this video. Like, share, subscribe this. Also hit that notification bell so that way you can find out when we get new videos out. And also be sure to check out our other videos like the Microsoft Flight Simulator review and also the Halo multiplayer beta impressions. This is Blackipino Jay, Salamat, and I'll catch you on the next one.